Ooh, squeaky chair. Hello, my name's Bob, and today we're going to cover a lot of different things. We're going to start off with exporting, how to get your image out of Affinity Designer. Then we're going to move into slices. From there, we jump on to styles. And after styles, we're going to show you how we make this animated scene. Take it away. Before we begin, I have to say that none of the animation that you're going to see is actually done in Affinity. We're going to make the graphics and export them into different animation apps. We're going to use After Effects and Spine for the animation. Next thing, in the source files which are available below, I can't include the snow effect because I don't own the license for that. It's a pre-made composition by someone else. Third thing, yeah, a lot of this is speeded up twice the speed because otherwise we'd be here all day. But I'm going to show you the concepts. We go slow at the beginning and then we'll get faster and faster. Another thing to say is that all of this is done on Affinity Designer desktop with no graphics tablet, no iPad, just a normal crappy cheap mouse. And you probably noticed that my screen layout is a bit different than what you have. I have styles over on the left, but that's just my personal preference. Oh yeah, and one final thing, if you don't understand what I'm saying, you can click CC down in the YouTube play bar and you get automatically translated subtitles, fish cake, banana, dishwasher. I think we're ready to go. Let's get busy. So there are a few different ways to share or export your images from Affinity Designer. So here we have a beautiful logo. This could be your club logo, and you want it to send it to somebody. So the first way to do that would be to go to share, and from there you can use AirDrop, which sends it to an iOS device, mail, or a message. Very handy. The next way is to go File, Export, and from here you can see you have PNG, JPEG, PDF, all of your regular file formats. Now for some reason in PNG, the default is not with transparent background. Why, I have no idea. This causes me a lot of personal heartbreak, but I'm sure we'll get there someday. But the third way, which we're going to discuss today, is the export persona. So you click this and you can see that we have layers and slices. So from that group layer, we create a slice. And then we can export that slice with all of the graphic information into a file. And here's a fantastic example of continuous export, where I draw a mustache on one of my characters on the iPad version, and through the magic of Affinity and horrible slow Spanish Wi-Fi, you will see that the mustache updates automatically because it's on a slice with continuous, boom, there we look at that. So here's a really good example of how slices can save you a lot of time once you get to know how to use them. So last year we made an animation for a company and they said we can't use a certain brand name in the animation. So we created the artwork as a generic product and sent it off for animation. So we had every element here has a slice. Here's the animation. You can see lots of things are moving, bam, 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 and it's a generic brand. But then a few days later, the client came back very apologetic and very upset that now they wanted to change the movie to include the brand. Now, sometimes a tiny change in a video can take days, but this time I was prepared because if I switch to the export persona, you see I have two layer groups within the same slice, one generic and one branded. So all I had to do was show the layer, hit export, and boom, that layer is sent to the folder where all of the animation assets are, and the video is updated instantly. So we're not here to talk about yogurts. These are the 3 points that I hope you can take away from this. Number one, we use the export persona to create slices from layers or groups. A slice is a defined area which is exported as a separate graphic. So that could be your logo, your letterhead, a photo, whatever. And finally, continuous export continuously exports said slice. So any changes that you make within that slice area will be exported to your folder of choice. And one thing, that only works per session. So every day that you're working on the file, you have to manually click continuous export. But once you do it, tally ho, you're away. Okay, I think we're done. Let's get busy. Yeah! So let's open a new document, 1920 by 1080. That's the standard video format. And I'm just going to start sketching. So here I'm just using the pen tool. Now I use the pen tool to draw everything. I don't use the pixel persona. I don't use Affinity Photo. I use the pen tool in Affinity Designer with a normal mouse, no graphics tablet or any of that. Carry on. So I'm just blocking out a real basic figure. It's not symmetrical. It's not anyway decent looking. But for me, I just want to see how much space each element takes up. Then we'll create a slice for each element and then bring it into the animation program. So now we have the main character and the foreground. And now in my mind, things start to take shape. I can see the basic composition. So I draw some buildings with the pen tool. Click, click, click. So simple. Anybody can do this. There we go. Tuck that in. Grab it and then duplicate it. Alt drag duplicates. We have the second building. And again, there's no perspective lines or anything correct at this stage. It's just as basic and as sloppy as it gets, just the way I like it. We flip it over there and we have a scene. So we scale down the main character and add in some foreground elements. Skipping forward in time, we see now we have more or less the full composition. Naming your layers is obviously very important, but I'm a slob and I always mess up with the layers. In the source files, I tried to be good, but even still, I think I messed them up. So now we've created slices from our layers, and let's repeat this again. You go export persona, create a slice from a layer. We export them all, and then in the animation app, Affinity Designer, After Effects, hey, we import each exported layer. And because this is going to be a fake 3D app, fake 3D camera movement, placing the elements doesn't have to be exact. So the way this works is that you've seen it in all the old Disney movies where the camera, back then they'd have a physical camera that would be pushed through space, and some layers like the foreground, like bushes and trees, would be at the front and the sky would be at the back. So we're doing the exact same thing here. The girl character would be at the very front and the big robot character would be at the very back in space. But there's no actual animation. The camera is just being pushed through those layers to give the effect. Because I'm not an animator, I just make things move badly, but people seem to be convinced by it, so let's keep it that way. So in After Effects, I'm just playing around with the camera, and I think I'm ready to go back to Designer. So now we're ready to move back because the camera composition is looking good to me. I don't know about you, I'm feeling good. So while I was making that, I realized that it looks a bit stale, with the camera just moving from the back to the robot. We need a reaction shot from the character, who was the character looking up at the robot. So here I'm quickly mocking up a top-down, what do you call it, bird's eye view? Yeah, bird's eye view of the girl character looking up in shock, horror, a little bit of disgust, and probably some wonder thrown in there as well. All shown by 3 circles like a bowling ball. But again, we're just going to make a slice from this, put it into the animation app, and then when I create the real artwork within that slice, through the magic of electrons and Matt Priestley's wand, it will be exported automatically into the animation app. So here we have a side-by-side, in Hollywood we call it a split screen of Affinity Designer on the left and After Effects on the right. So now I am editing in real time. So I want to start adding textures to the buildings. I want to start getting the composition just right. So you can see just now I added a texture, a style to the buildings, and they are reflected in the After Effects composition. And then here I am zooming painfully slow for some reason into the styles. Yeah, let's talk about styles. Styles are a way to apply pre-made textures, tones, colors, outlines to vector shapes. And I'm a big fan of styles. And I've actually made my own set, which is going to be available for sale soon. Should I not be talking over this? I don't know. I drew all this. So you can see I put base. And hey, there's the camera effect again, the slow camera effect. So within a couple of weeks of this video going live, this will be available for sale on the Affinity store. So now I misguidedly tried to take the robot, which comes in the shiznizzle. When you buy it, you get this robot within the source file. I tried to put a fake perspective in Affinity Photo, but I learned my lesson and brought it back into Designer and just manually tweaked the layers to have a upward angle on the robot. So I'm drawing the hip right now, and there's a beautiful leg. That's as sloppy and as quick as it takes. That was 6 nodes, I think. Flippy, flippy, grab the arm, size it up, Alt drag, duplicate, flip. Anybody can do this. So now it's looking good to me. And I'm gonna add some shiznizzle styles, get the plugin to my buildings. You'll notice in the final video of the robot scene that the front of the buildings are solid black. But at this stage, I was thinking of having windows and details on the front and textures on the side. But in the end, it was all black on the front of the buildings and the textures. Now I'm using the pen tool to just cut away at the straight lines to create a destroyed effect. Again, very simple, very rough, because there's an expression, I don't know if you've heard it before, but in Ireland we say, to a galloping horse. To a galloping horse means a galloping horse sees no details. So this video takes 8 seconds. So if the cracks on the building are just copy and paste of a different crack, no, but the galloping horse, which is you, your eye, I don't know what I'm talking about. So here I am trying to make windows. Again, I abandoned this idea in the final cut, but a great way to make quick windows is draw a rectangle and then subtract a rectangle several times from that shape. That looks horrible. No wonder I went to a solid black. I'm just clicking through the styles to see if I can get an easy way to add a text. That actually looks good, but in the end, I abandoned the idea. And soon we're going to move into the actual rigging and animation of the robot, which is, for me, the really fun part. But until then, it's just me and you on a microphone. Listen, I hope everyone made it through the lockdown in one piece. It's been hard for everybody in unique and special ways. But enough respect to Seraph, Ash, all the lads for these creative sessions. Much appreciated. I don't think I introduced myself at the beginning. My name is Bob, by the way. I'm from Ireland, Dublin, but now I live in Spain. I've been a designer for 20 years. Comics, apps, games, now physical board games, yogurts, branded, unbranded yogurts, you name it. Robots, snow. A big tip for everyone, if you're ever asked to make a composition or a cartoon, always push the client to make it in snow, space, or the desert. Because there's no backgrounds. So now we get into the fun stuff. We select all of the layers on a robot and we cycle through the shiznizzle styles to try. Oh, that's the one. Go back. Bobby, go back. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Pre-made. With one click, we applied that beautiful handmade texture that I made onto all of the vector shapes. And it already looks as if the light is coming from the back and also being bounced up at the top. So get the shiznizzle pack. Now I'm just adding in some small light rim effects with the pen tool. This is a really cheap and effective effect. And just click, 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 pen tool, my best friend, and I'm clipping that into different layers. And it's such a cheap effect that pays off. And now we're ready to move into Spine. Spine is a fantastic 2D app for games. The benefits are too hard to explain right here, but it's mostly used for games. And the great thing about Affinity Designer is that there's a specific export for Spine. So we select all of our layers, create slices, and then we hit, let me zoom in here, the Spine JSON export. And that will export all of the selected slices with some data, which when we import it into Spine, it keeps them all in place, as we will see now. So you import your JSON file, and that brings in all of the assets, all of the slices in place. We had to move them over a bit because the artboard was far away from the center point. Now, here comes the fun part. So obviously all of the layers are in place. But now we're going to draw a skeleton under the layers to connect all of the bits together to make like a working body. So now look at that. We just name the layers and then just drag the slices onto the bones. And this is a very simple uh, demo of what you can do in this app. But again, because we have all of the layers selected, layers set up for slices with continuous export in Affinity Designer, any change that we make in that app will reflect instantly, more or less, in the Spine app. Now we're ready to add a very basic loop. So in games, they call it an idle cycle or an idle loop. It's like a breathing or standing, and this is a 42 frame loop where he just breathes in and breathes out. Arms go up, arms go down, chest goes up, chest goes down. And here we can see a split screen. I'm going to add some new styles to some parts of the robot, and it will update automatically in the live animation. So check it out. We use that weird texture on the shoulders. Go back and make sure continuous export is on. Tap refresh in the app, and we're ready to go. And again, this is a super simple demonstration of what you could do. You create one armature or skeleton in Spine, but imagine if you were to combine one model from Affinity Designer with my fantastic Shiznzel pack, you could create 100 different characters, goblins, zombies, whatever, that are ready to be animated in a game with minimal effort. That's what I'm all about. Ask my wife. Hey. So now I'm still playing with the styles and they update automatically into Spine. Now, Spine is a fantastic app. There's a few other apps that do the same thing, but like the Affinity range of apps, Spine just feels right to me. Uh, I'm obsessed with the Affinity apps because they just have this feeling about them that I can't explain. You have to use them to know what I'm talking about. So now I'm adding the final touches to the buildings. Here's a quick there's a dog barking in the background. Nice. So if you add a brush stroke to a cutout shape, it gives it that nice eroded, distorted effect. It's a quick tip. So now we're going to move into finishing off the character. So we have some of the assets already made, but we don't have a view of the character where she's looking up. So we have the side view here. We actually have a frontal view of the head somewhere, which I will paste in later. But right now we're going to reuse existing parts of this model to make her look up. So this shape here is a very simple vector shape with a style applied to it, and the hair, the fur on her coat is one of my brushes. And I know when you're a beginner, you don't want to see too much speed painting, but maybe someday I'll do a real time video. Listen, I know it's hard to start off, and I'm still learning things every day, still forgetting things every day too. But it may seem like a lot to take in. But again, the concepts that I want to get across here are very, very, very simple to grasp, and it's up to you to use those creatively. And along the same lines, that you may think that you'll never have to use animation or make a game character, but we are now living in a complete different world than a few months ago. And every designer now has to really step it up, because if we're all working from home, the global economy has changed, and you're directly up against freelancers from all over the world. So push yourself to learn as much as you can and have fun. Pick a project and just try finish it. A lot of people fail because they say, okay, I'm going to learn this app, whatever app, and they sit down with the book or they sit down with the courses, and it's hard to get through it. It's much better if somebody gives you, or you set yourself a project. Excuse me. Like today or this week, I'm going to make a video game cover, some video game art. Set a hard deadline and really, really challenge yourself and punish and reward yourself. I always tell people that. I'm not talking about whipping yourself with a chain or anything, but if you hit the deadline, real or imagined, be good to yourself. Take a break, reward yourself. Uh, Jumping straight in is the only way to learn these things. And maybe give this project a go. This character is nearly finished. I just have to replace the head, which I have somewhere else, and then the hands. And for the hands, me being extremely, okay, let's say, lazy or organized, lazy or organized, whatever way you want to look at it, I use assets a lot. So you can find assets in the Asset Studio. Now I have these tacked over on the left hand side with my styles and brushes. And these are reusable bits and pieces like hands, noses, weapons, things that I reuse again and again. So I'm going to open up my asset library now, and you can see I have hands, but this is all hands. Plop, there goes the head. Should have really put that in earlier, but that's the head from the character design. Just going to change the eyes to look up a little bit. Beautiful. Dead air. Unlike. I said it a few minutes ago about setting your stories or scenes in snow or under the water or in the desert or whatever. It's not a joke. You save so much time, so much effort if you can get your story done in a vague background. For real. That's why they shot The Sopranos up in the North Pole, I think. So here I'm dragging in. Now I'm just messing around. But you never know. Happy accidents. I always throw in a few goofy shapes or assets to see how it will look. So that's a crazy cartoon mouth that probably won't work, but yeah, it didn't. But the hands that I threw in are probably not the right hands. But again, the galloping horse sees no detail. The hands look like little flippers, but your eye is just focused on the girl's head, so you're not really going to see her hands. So go back and look at her hands when the video's playing. They look like little. And here I am goofing around. They put in me dancing in a window just to see. I wanted to put people pointing from the windows as the camera zoomed in, but it didn't work. I always goof around. It's the only way to get through things. And now we're just finishing off some of the details on the building. Um, just using a pen stroke with weights. I'm messing around with the stroke value. Oh, leave me alone. It's very early here. The only way I can record in peace is either get up very early or stay up very late, because I'm besieged by dogs, a baby, and now springtime birds. Every morning there's these crazy birds outside my window, and they were being picked up on the mic here. So now I'm just finishing up the back view of the character. Really simple. The very first shape that we made at the beginning of this project, we just apply a style that puts the blue and the black grain. Boom, instantly rendered. I love this. And then copy the fur collar and just resize it. That's again, it's a brush that can be resized without losing anything. And we took it into this slice, which is connected to the animation app. I must say, I use After Effects, but there's a new app called Cavallari, which is amazing. I haven't spent too much time with it, but it looks like a contender. Right now it's free, really worth checking out. There's so many apps out there, and my advice is jump into them all. So I think we're nearly done. We're going to play the video back now and see how it all goes together. Nice. So that's it. Thanks for making it to the end. There's the source files are in the thing. What do you call it? The description box. I obviously can't include the third-party stuff like the snow and the scratchy background in the animation, but the After Effects, the spine, and the freebie shiznazzle files are in the source files at the bottom. So go crazy. Check me out, clamnuts.com, and best of luck. See ya.